Mike Bloomberg. When you look at the tone in Washington and understand how toxic it is and the fact that it's spread across the country, Mike Bloomberg is a refreshing leader, a unifier, who understands that we have more in common than what divides us. Mike Bloomberg is a leader who is not afraid of tough issues and challenging conversations. He has worked tirelessly to create coalitions and build bridges to establish lasting, common-sense solutions that work. That's what we need in local, state, and federal government. We need a strong, proven leader in the White House, and that's why I support Mike Bloomberg. Not only do I support him, but when I think about the 12-year run as mayor of our nation's largest city, an incredible body of work and philanthropy, supporting political causes, from green energy to sustainability and the lives of young people, I thank my friend Mike Bloomberg for the work that he has done and will do in these United States of America. At a time when the heart and soul of our country is being divided, we need a leader who has been touched by the better angels of our nature. Mike Bloomberg is that leader. And so I welcome him to the city of Augusta. I not only welcome him to our city, but I formally endorse as our next president, Mr. Mike Bloomberg, the mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your support and your leadership here in Augusta. It's great to be here and to talk to voters about some of the issues that matter the most to them. We went to a coffee shop where took a lot of pictures, including, it turns out, with the mother of one of my security people who's lived here forever, and he's now a hero because he got his mother to take a picture with this mayor. Didn't seem to care about me, but this mayor was the one that mattered. It is great to see some of the work that the mayor is leading to put this city back on track for a bright future. Mayor Davis has done a great job, and as president of the African American Mayors Association, he is in a key position to help cities work together and spread good ideas, which is critically important. Now, I know we both believe in the power of cities to drive change around the country. That's what mayors do, and we've both been lucky enough to serve for a while and make a difference. We also both have degrees in electrical engineering, although I'm sure that Mayor Davis got better grades than I did. You went to Georgia Tech, is that right?
I did.
Well, I went to Johns Hopkins, and I think Georgia Tech did have a better engineering school. I hope not today, but maybe back then. Let's just say my academic record was I was one of the students that made the top half of the class possible. I'm supposed to laugh at that, folks. So I'm honored to have your support, and I'm running for president, as you know. And people say why, and then the answer is to defeat Donald Trump and rebuild America. I think the stakes could not be higher. We cannot afford 4 more years of President Trump's recklessness and unethical actions. If he wins another term in office, we may never recover from the damage. We must win this election. And we must begin rebuilding America by investing right here at home and restoring our nation's credibility and moral leadership abroad. I have spent my career bringing people together and tackling big problems and fixing them. It has worked well in business and in running the country's largest, most progressive city, and I think it can work in Washington as well. One of my priorities as president will be supporting and empowering local leaders like Mayor Davis, because I know how effective local governments can be. Local governments are where you deliver the services. Local governments are where the people can get to talk to their leaders on the streets every day. And I'm happy to say that we made a big difference in New York City, just as Mayor Davis has made here. In New York City, we raised graduation rates while I was mayor by 42%. We cut murders in half while also cutting incarceration rate by 39%. And we cut carbon emissions by 14% while also creating hundreds of thousands of new jobs. And we expanded public health insurance. Now, I know we can make big progress on all of these issues nationally because we did it in New York. Not just me, but the team that I put together. And teamwork is the real key to making government efficient. I know we can beat Donald Trump because we've already beaten him. We've taken him on in gun violence. and won stronger gun laws in states all across this country. We've taken him on over climate change, and we've led an effort that has closed more than half of the nation's dirty coal-fired power plants. We've also taken him on over e-cigarettes used by children, and we're now winning in cities and states across the country. Georgia, as you know, is a crucial background state in this election, but what you don't see is presidential candidates coming here very often. The fact is, President Trump is about the only one spending money here and in swing states around the country, and that's a big problem for our party. Democrats actually have a great chance to win Georgia and to turn it from red to blue for the first time in a generation, if we nominate someone who makes winning here a priority, and if we nominate someone who builds the kind of broad coalition that is needed to win in Georgia and other crucial states. That's what I'm working to do, and that is why I am here. We can win more than just the presidential election in Georgia. Georgia is the only state with 2 Senate seats up for grabs in November. Democrats can win both of those, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that happens. I was glad to support Stacey Abrams' campaign last year and to support her new efforts to register voters in battleground states, including here in Georgia. Governor Kemp's attempt to purge another 300,000 voters from Georgia's voting rolls has nothing to do with the integrity of the voting rolls and everything to do with hurting Democrats, and we can't let that happen. We have to fight back. And if I'm the nominee, we'll have a fully funded effort to support Georgia Democrats up and down the ticket so we can flip this state from red to blue, just as we did in Virginia. I supported, as you know, last year, 21 winning candidates in the midterms. One of them was Lucy McBath, who won Georgia's 6th congressional district outside of Atlanta. I got to know Lucy through an organization I helped to found called Every Town for Gun Safety. For those of you who don't know Lucy's story, her son Jordan was shot and killed back in 2012 by someone who thought her son was playing his music too loud. It was just one of those senseless tragedies that happen too often across this country. Lucy, rather than just sitting back, decided to make sure that other parents didn't have to experience what she did. So she decided to do something about it. We need to elect more leaders like her in Congress. Yesterday, I was in Aurora, Colorado, to speak with survivors of gun violence there who are fighting for smarter gun laws. I outlined what I would do as president to end the scourge of gun violence, like strengthening background checks and other common sense gun laws, keep guns out of dangerous hands. In the weeks ahead, I'll outline my plans on other key issues, including creating good jobs and fighting climate change. But more than plans, what I offer is leadership to turn plans into reality. America is at its best when we work together to find meaningful and lasting solutions to the big challenges that we face. I'm tired of this country being a place where we don't talk to each other. I'm tired that the left doesn't talk to the right. I'm tired that Republicans don't talk to Democrats, that blue doesn't talk to red. We have a president who is not supposed to be the head of a party, but the head of the whole country, and he just doesn't get that. We've got to stop pulling people apart and start bringing them together, and that's what I will do. As a child and as a Boy Scout, I was taught to believe in the promise and potential of America and the openness of the American dream. I still believe in that ideal, but I have never been more worried about our country's future. And that's why I decided to run, having said a while ago that I wasn't going to run. But when I took a look at what was happening and things were getting worse, and I didn't see others that I thought could beat Donald Trump, I said, shame on me if I didn't have the courage to stand up and at least try. And I'm going to try, and I'm going to win. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and motivate people to come together so that we can rebuild America and make it fairer and better. I'm ready to get working, and I am honored to have Mayor Davis's support. So thank you all very much, Mr. Mayor. I am indebted to you. You have, I think, made the right decision, but in any case, I'm happy, and my daughters will be happy, and I hope a lot of people will be happy. Your endorsement really means something. You know what it takes to make this a better country and a better world, and
map. The city of Augusta has already applied for the asphalt art grant. What does this mean for the city of Augusta to possibly be awarded that grant? You have talked about cities like Augusta being able to grow and investing in them. So can you speak to that and maybe some other possible contributions that this partnership might need?
One of the things my foundation does is work very hard with cities across the country. Why? Because I was a mayor and I know that that's where the rubber meets the road, where you deliver services and where you get input. And that's what really makes things better. We love the federal government and state governments if they give us some money, but we'd like to, from there on, take it to the local level because both the mayor and I think that's the most efficient ways to do it. One of the things the foundation works on is art and helping local cities. We have competitions where cities each year compete and win monies, up to $1 million, I think, if I remember, as they use art to make the city more interesting and the people are happier and people move there. So from an economic point of view, it's good for the city. And also, I might point out that the mayor came to one of our training programs, as did, incidentally, Mayor Pete. We have a number of mayors in the last 3 years who've come through, and we're honored to have all of them, and hopefully we got them together and gave them a chance to learn how to even be better mayors. Other questions you want to add?
I think that's correct, Renata, and thank you for that question. But Mayor Bloomberg's body of work from a philanthropic perspective is not just asphalt art, but leading mayors. Just most recently, I was at the Hardie Bloomberg Leadership Institute. You've got 40 mayors from across the world who show up and get the best training to allow us to be better at the job that we do in our cities. That's the type of leader that we have, someone who solves problems, but it's taken their work from a professional standpoint and said, how can I make cities better? How can I make other leaders better? And that's what our country needs at a time like now.
Mayor Bloomberg, you obviously have more resources.
I heard somebody with a female voice first.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I just heard her first.
Thank you. Mayor Bloomberg, you said in an interview yesterday that you hadn't apologized for stop and frisk earlier than last month because you hadn't been asked about it before running for president. In January of this year, you were asked about stop and frisk and the impact on African American and Hispanic American communities at the U.S. Naval Academy's Leadership Conference. Can you just clarify what you meant when you said yesterday?
Well, somebody told me that I was asked another time, and I quite honestly remember it. I think after I left city government, you don't focus on certain things. More recently, I've talked to people who were stopped, and I had discussions about what it meant to them, and we talked about what I've always tried to do, and have continued to do, and that is bring down crime, particularly crime in the cities across this country. And we have been taking on the NRA, and pretty successfully too, actually. They're reeling, they're at chaos at their top, their funding sources have dried up, and there are a lot of other places. Moms Demand Action are now going around and encouraging states to pass red flag laws and background checks, and more states are doing this. We are certainly not where we want to be, having the whole country pass the background check laws. Let me just remind you what this is all about. The Second Amendment gives you the right to bear arms. But the Supreme Court has said you can have reasonable restrictions. Some of those restrictions that the Supreme Court blessed are a federal law that if you buy a gun at a gun show, you have to, at a gun store, you have to go through a background check. And if you have if you're a minor, or if you have psychiatric problems or a criminal record, you can't buy a gun. There is no law, federal law, that stops you if you buy a gun at a gun show or on the internet. That's what about half the states in the country have already enacted. That's what we're trying to do to get for the rest of the states. Nobody's trying to take away people's guns. We just think that people that qualify by that standard, minors or psychiatric problems, or people that have criminal records, they shouldn't buy guns, and that's what we've been focusing on. And you had a question.
You obviously have much more resources than any other Democratic candidate. Can you talk specifically about what sort of advantage that would give you in a general election, and if you don't win the nomination,
would you commit to committing a similar amount of resources towards, say, a Biden campaign or a Sanders campaign or another candidate?
Well, look, I started out in life, my father made $6,000 the best year of his life, and we didn't have a lot of money. I had to work my way through college, and my parents took out a loan to help. So I didn't come from any money, but I was very lucky. Started a business after working on Wall Street for a while, made a lot of money, and I'm committed to basically giving it all away. And I've been doing that. And there are a number of different ways I do that. We support the arts, as she talked about. We support public health issues. We support environmental issues, education, a whole bunch of those kinds of things. And I think using that money to be able to make another level of change, the President of the United States can really have a much bigger impact on the social issues that I care about and have been funding than I can just as a private citizen giving away the money. So the money's going to be there anyways. It's going to go, whether I get elected or not. I've committed to give it all before I die. Right now I give all the profits from the company to the foundation. And we'll continue to do that. And I don't know what I'll do down the road. I don't think I'm going to be in a situation where I've got to look at another Democratic candidate and help them. But I have said that regardless of who the Democratic candidate is, I will support them. I might point out when Donald Trump's the opposition, that's an easy thing for everybody in this country to make and make that commitment. We'll take two more questions. One in the back. Way in the back this first. Yeah, first is young lady. Okay, and then you, and that's it.
Okay, during your time as mayor in New York, you stated that crime was severely reduced by up to 50% in some cases.
The murder rate, I think.
Murder rate.
Depends how you measure crime, but murder and car thefts are the things you can measure easily.
Well, crime is a big issue here in Augusta, and numbers are much higher than we would like. How, if you were to win, would you be able to work with cities like ours to help reduce crime rates here?
Certainly would be my intention. Keep in mind, taking care of crime locally is the responsibility of local government run by the mayor. But the federal government can do a lot of things. One of the things the federal government and the president can do is to work with Congress rather than trying to divide them, pull them together and convince them to convince their voters that nobody's trying to take away their guns. We're just we'd like to put in regulations that you can't buy a gun if you have a psychiatric problem, if you have a criminal record, or if you're a minor. And incidentally, when you poll NRA members who have guns, 80 and 90% of them say that that is what they want anyways. You want to add?
I do. Since 2012, since Sheriff Roundtree's been in office, we've had a significant decrease in terms of violent crimes and homicides in the city of Augusta. The data bears that out. I think those are the things that we look at consistently. Just within the last 18 months, though, we've seen a slight uptick in gun violence. That's the thing that gives us great pause and concern, which is why we're having this conversation today. I think that the policies that Mayor Bloomberg is proposing are important for us when you talk about guns and who has access to those guns. That's one of the challenges that we're facing. That's why we need to elect Mike Bloomberg as our next president, a demonstrated track record of working with mayors and moms against guns all across this country to make sure that our communities are safe, whether it's our schools, whether it's our neighborhoods. And so here in Augusta, we've consistently seen those numbers go down until more recently where we've seen an uptick in gun violence.
Ms. Hughes, and then the gentleman to your right.
Hi, Mayor. Cory Booker responded to comments you made recently, calling him very well spoken in a serious interview. He said that he was taken aback and says that these are the kinds of, quote, tired tropes that Democrats are making that disconnect them from African American voters. Can you just comment about what you meant about that?
Cory Booker was on the board of my foundation. Cory Booker endorsed me 3 times, and I endorsed him, I think it was 3 times. We campaigned together. We have still stayed friends. I probably shouldn't have used the word, but I can just tell you he is a friend of mine, and he is a Rhodes Scholar, which is much more impressive than my academic background. I envy him, and he can certainly speak for himself. And last question, sir.
I have a second question.
I'm sorry, yes.
So, in an interview in 2013, you said that stop.
An interview where?
In 2013, you said that stop and frisk disproportionately affected white people in New York.
I don't remember saying that.
There's video of it, but do you have any response? Obviously, you don't remember.
Look, I don't remember. I've said this about stop and frisk. We were trying to bring down crime, doing everything that the experts said we could do to bring down crime. In my third term, the number of stop and frisks had grown dramatically. We looked at it, said maybe this is not the right thing to do. We reduced it a little bit. Crime, instead of going up, came down. Then we went back and reduced it to reduced 95% of all of the stops before I left office. And the crime rate continued to go down, which we're very proud of. Well, our job is to do everything that we can to save lives. I was with a group of people yesterday in Aurora, where there was 19 people killed in a massacre, and there were a whole bunch of moms demand action with their red shirts there. All of them had lost somebody, and if you talk to them, they will tell you we should do everything we can possibly to reduce violence, and that's what we're going to commit to. That's what we're committing to do, including fighting the NRA. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. And we will see you the next time, when, assuming the mayor invites me back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great.
All right.